I just finished reading this on the way to work early this morning. Honestly, it is such a beautiful story of the relationship of two very flawed, very broken, but somehow also perfectly imperfect pair of characters. I absolutely loved it. I rated it 4 stars. Hi, hello. It's been more than a week since the last time I updated this reading vlog. Well, I always intended this to be an October reading vlog anyway, so I just haven't picked it up for quite some time, I think, because work has really been hectic, like really been hectic for the past few weeks, and then I have barely been able to find the time to actually read and finish books. So in between of those, I didn't really have the time to pick up a video. I'll pick up my cam and then started talking about my thoughts, but I finished actually quite a lot. Let me just look for my phone. I actually need my phone to update me how many I finished, but I need to keep track of it in Goodreads, and I diligently do keep track of it in Goodreads. Every single time I finish a book, first thing I do is to make sure I go to Goodreads and actually take down the dates I read it for, and then put a simple review, even like how many stars, and then just like quick thoughts on it, because I know the next time I will find the time to actually open my phone and go to Goodreads, I will not remember the feelings I got right after reading the book. So I always make sure to do that right after finishing a book, like right after reading the last page. So good thing I have that habit, because I am able to keep track of the books that I have read so far. I think the last video, I don't even remember what the last video was about. I think it was about me starting Percy Jackson and Chalice of the Gods. I absolutely love that book. So I was reading it. I was reading it with the local version, like the US cover paperback edition, which I pre-ordered in my local bookstore. But then I think while I was reading it, I then got the mail from Waterstones, and my Waterstones special edition with these beautiful sprayed edges arrived, and I immediately went reading it in this, because I mean, how do you not read it? How do you not read it? It's so beautiful. Like, do you see this? Do you see these sprayed edges? Like, holy shit. It's beautiful, and the cover, like, when you read the book, you know where this cover is coming from, and this whole scene, like this whole sequence, is actually hilarious. Like, it's so funny, and I mean, the whole book is just so unserious. I mean, quick thoughts on this is that I rate this 5 stars. Like, it's a Percy Jackson book, and even more than that, I think I mentioned also in my previous video that even outside of nostalgia, this is a freaking good book. Like, Rick Riordan, if there's nothing else we can give to him, like, I love Rick Riordan, but the best absolute thing that came from him is Percy Jackson, and he can freaking write Percy Jackson's POV, like such a good one. You know, when you read the first few lines of this book, even if you didn't know, if I give you like a blank sheet of paper with just the first few lines of this book, you know you're reading Percy Jackson book, because it is that good. It is that iconic, and he hasn't lost his touch. Rick Riordan writing Percy Jackson, you know by reading this book that he hasn't lost his touch. The sarcasm, the unseriousness of it, yeah, it's just different. It takes you back to PJO at the core of it. What makes PJO so freaking good, and it's so good. Like, it's more than nostalgia. It's really how it's written. It's also like how Rick Riordan weirdly gets Gen Z. Like, that, if there's one thing that surprised me the most, I have read so many books wherein it just falls flat. Most of the books, the author falls flat, and it's because they're trying to replicate Gen Z humor, and they're just not getting it. But Rick Riordan, Mr. Rick Riordan, freaking gets it. Like, he gets it. He gets the unseriousness of everything. He gets the, well, I would rather die. If I'm gonna die, oh well, at least I'm gonna get a rise out of Anabat. Or, like, you know, the whole thing, like, you're gonna freaking die, but you make, like, you get a laugh out of it. That's Gen Z, honestly. Like, it's so good, 5 freaking stars. And then afterwards, after I picked this up, I think I immediately picked up a Kindle Unlimited book, which is The King of Wrath by Anna Wang. So this one, it was just a quick light-hearted read. What I usually do is I read fantasy and then I read romance, kind of like sandwiching them in between, so that I don't get too overwhelmed with fantasy elements from different books and I don't mix them all up. So right after the PJO, Chalice of the Gods, I read King of Wrath by Anna Wang. Honestly, I think for this one, I picked it up way back, and then I just didn't get to finish it, not because it was bad, but because it wasn't in the right space of mind when I picked it up. Like, I wasn't into romance when I picked it up. So now going back to this, I think I rated this 4 stars. It's an arranged marriage trope, very similar to other Anawan works like the Twisted series. Really freaking good. I mean, you get what you want. Again, romance for me, you don't need to have a very complex relationship building. You don't really need to have complicated world building for it. I don't know. It just needs to feel good. Like, it just also needs to like make you squeal. As long as it makes me squeal, as long as it makes me happy, or as long as it makes me smile from something. I mean, I rated 5 stars. This one I rated 4 stars though, because I wasn't sold on the whole Italian mafia vibes. Like, I think this is the first mafia romance that I read, but it just was not hitting. Like, it wasn't as dark as I thought it would be as a mafia romance book. So I think that's the only reason why I rated it 4 stars, but still good romance. And then right after that I read The Dead Romantic. So it's actually here, hold on. So this one, I actually borrowed it from my sister. The reason why I wanted to pick this up was because I saw, or I heard, I don't know how accurate it is, but I heard that this is a Reylo, like either it was written by a Reylo fanfiction writer or it originated from a Reylo fanfiction. I'm not sure. And honestly, I don't know how to feel about this. I think I rated this, wait, let me double check. But I didn't rate it that high. I rated it 3.5 stars. Here's the kicker for this romance book. Everything else outside of the romance is absolutely amazing, heart-wrenching, so freaking good. Like, the relationships outside of the romance were built so well and were developed so freaking well. However, the kicker for this is that the romance did not convince me. I did not see much chemistry between the main leads. There wasn't much romance building, if you get what I mean. Like, I get how they can be falling for each other. I get how they can be attracted to each other. Like, I think that's automatic. Like, you understand how they can be attracted to each other based on who they are as people, based on what they do also. So the whole setup of it, who they are as people, I see it happening. I see the attraction growing. However, I actually don't read it. Like, do you get what I mean? I don't get why they start falling for each other outside of, like, I mean, because I think the whole premise of this is that they have to spend time together because she's the only one who can see him, and they share stories to each other. But in my head, it's the same thing with friends though. Like, you just spend time with friends, share stories with friends. But I don't get how they fell for each other. Like, I didn't read it in this book. I didn't read it within the pages. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind when I read it. But it was like their whole interaction was just very friendly, and then I'm just surprised by the end of it. Oh, they were supposed to fall in love during those interactions. Like, I didn't feel it. Anyway, so I think there's that. Again, I'm not sure if it was me thing during the time I was reading it. Again, I was so busy with work, maybe I just wasn't feeling it that much. But I rated this 3.5 stars. So at the next one that I read, actually, I was supposed to go back to A Study in Drowning, but the first few pages of this book, of The Study in Drowning, was actually so slow. So I decided to skip past it first. So don't worry, I still finished it. I went back to it, but I skipped past it first to read Girl Goddess Queen by B.F. Fitzgerald. So this is the original cover, but I mean, come on, take a look at this. Take a look at the hardback. This is the naked hardback. This is the dust jacket. Which one is better cover? Of course it's this one. This is so freaking good. Anyway, so I removed the dust jacket. It just sits on my shelf. But then this is the one that actually gets to be featured on my shelf, and it is so freaking good. Okay, so Girl Goddess Queen, I have no expectations for. I was, when I was reading the synopsis, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this book so much in BookTok and BookTube, so I was wondering why I wasn't hyped, considering the pretty naked hardbacks. Like, hello, yes, how are people not talking about this? Anyway, so, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. I think I only picked it up really because Greek mythology, Hades, and Persephone retelling. I love a good Hades and Persephone retelling. I have Laura Olympus here. It actually has the same vibe if you think about it. If you take a look at these two books, this is a webtoon, so this is art, and this is Girl Goddess Queen. It has the same vibes, and I love it. I love it so much that they are the same vibes. But anyway, I love Hades and Persephone retelling. I don't think it's been done enough considering the context of it, considering how good that the main source is. So when I saw this and I heard it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, I immediately picked it up. I saw the naked hardback, I was sold. So for thoughts, first few pages, it was kind of underwhelming, the first few pages, to be quite honest. So my expectations were really low, aside from me not having actual expectations. The first few pages made it even lower because when it was setting it up, it sounded like your usual feminist book. Like, feminism, yes, I love it. I'm a girl. I want to be a girl boss, but also like the feminism is not, there are a lot of times where feminism is not done so well in books. Like, it's a very tricky subject. It's a very sensitive subtext to include in books because it's not that it's offensive. It's just that you can go so overboard with it that you end up not telling it correctly, right? You end up not telling it correctly, and other feminists, like for example me or people advocating for it, will not be impressed with how you do it. So it's a very, very, very difficult thing to put in books, to put in literature, because people tend to go overboard. With this one, first few pages, I thought it was gonna go overboard. I thought it was gonna be a bit too much. That's why my expectations became like took a dip. And then I actually went through it. I actually pushed through it, and by halfway through the book, I was like, wait, no. I expected something else. Like, it's super different. There is still a feminist subtext to it, but I think it was done sensitively enough, or like it was done well enough. It was balanced out. That's what I would say. Like, it didn't go overboard. The feminist subtext in this book didn't go overboard because of Hades. Hades' characterization in this book, when it was revealed, I was like, oh wait, that says it out differently. Like, this isn't just a feminist book. It's also trying to dismantle toxic masculinity, because Hades in this book, a bit of a spoiler, is more into arts. So he likes the arts. I think the characterization of Persephone as the girl boss, like boss babe, and Hades as soft boy core, actually balances the whole text and feminist subtext out. Like, deals both with feminism and toxic masculinity at the same time, and I actually ended up liking it. I think I rated it 4.25 stars. It's honestly a surprise read for me. I was surprised by how much I love this by the end of it. And I think there's a second book. I hope there's a second book, because it didn't completely finish all of the arcs, or it didn't completely finish all of the stories within the book. So I really hope there's a second book. After that, I actually went back. I did say I was gonna go back to it. I actually went back and read A Study in Drowning by Avery Reed. So again, I started this book like at the beginning of the month, and I kept it was a very, very slow start for me. Like, first 100 pages, that's the thing. Actually not 100 pages. So the first few pages was really slow. I thought I was gonna DNF it. I don't know, it was just not clicking for me. You know how when you read books, you get so immersed into the story, into the world, that you feel like you're inside it. You feel like you're inside it. So it needs to get to that point for me to actually push through a book. And it's not very hard for most books. Like, it takes me like 20 pages to get fully immersed into a book, and for example, if somebody snaps me out of it, it feels like I'm coming out from that world. So for this one, it wasn't clicking. Like, first 20 pages, first 50 pages, it just really wasn't clicking. That's why I kept picking up other books. But then one night I sat on my bed and I said, okay, I will push through this book. I will push through until the 100th page. So I will push through, read until the first 100 pages. If it still does not click, if I still do not get immersed in it, then I will officially DNF it. The TBR be damned, right? So I read through it. I picked it up, I think page 54, and then I read through it, just really pushing through until 100, and then I get to page 91, and I know that because I actually annotated this book. So I was trudging through it. I was waiting for the book to, the story, the world, the book to click for me, and it wasn't clicking until page 91. And it was actually when I think the story really started for me. The story, the relationships, the whole lore really started. And then, you know, this is one of the, no, this is only the second book I annotated. The first book I annotated was just a tiny flimsy one tab thing, wherein I just really liked the quote and I wanted to not forget about it, so I put a tab on it. But otherwise, I did not do anything else with the book. But this one, I put tabs all over the place. I put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tabs. I put 8 tabs on this book. And was it the best book I read this year? Not really, not by far. But it was really good. It was very atmospheric. It was very eerie. If you want the vibes, the gothic vibes, the October fall vibes, very dark. I don't know what else to say. Spooky vibes. This is the book for you. Like, I would recommend for you to pick this up. It also has a very feminist subtext actually, and it does not go into boss babe territory. So like what I said, was watching out for Girl Goddess Queen to go overboard with the feminist subtext, because for me, the take on boss babes are usually a bit too much. Like sometimes writers cannot help themselves, they go a bit too much on that end, and it becomes very insensitive. This one is totally opposite feminist subtext. So this is a very soft, the main character is a very soft girl. There's no boss babe to it. She's a very soft girl who lives in a world wherein soft girls are taken advantage of. Like that's really just the feminist subtext of it. And it's not that she has to learn how to fight back. There's no sense to it. But she has to learn how to navigate in a world where, again, being a soft girl is taken advantage of. And I love it. I love how it's written here, because this is the kind of feminist subtext that I don't see much in books. And I really like it. I rated this, I think, 4 stars if I'm not mistaken. The prose, very beautiful. Like Ava Reid, if there's nothing else, she can write a damn good prose. Yeah, I rated it 4 stars. Very atmospheric, very eerie. If you want the full spooky vibes, you should definitely check out Study and Drowning by Ava Reid. And of course, look at that sprayed edges. This is the Waterstones edition. I mean, and I think that is also part of the reason why I really wanted to push through and read this book, why I really stopped and picked up another one and tried to pick it up back again. I really was just trying to push through because of these beautiful sprayed edges. Like, this is such a beautiful book. How can you not read it? So that is the last book that I read, like, the other day. I think I finished it the other day. The only book left in my October TBR is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Again, I've been putting this off for like years now. Ever since it came out, I actually got the Illuminated edition for it, with the black glitter sprayed edges and the black art with these papers, like so beautiful. And also it has like this foiling, and it's also signed by V. Shaw. Like, yes, I love it so much, but I never picked it up, I guess, because I have always been intimidated by this book, because a lot of people really do love it. I know a lot of people rave about it, but I was just so scared that it's not going to live up to my expectations. I wanted the expectations to die down first before I pick it up, because I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want to be spoiled, etc. I want to read it at my own pace, and I want to read it with my own thoughts. So that is why I think it's time to pick it back up again, and I want to read it now. However, I know this is the last one. However, I really want to prioritize something else, and I did kind of prioritize something else, and it is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. So this is the first Brandon Sanderson book that I have. I got it from Waterstones, and it is the Waterstones exclusive edition. And I don't know, man. I am on the 16th page, so I'm on page 16. I really want to continue this, so I might actually try to finish this first before picking up The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, before picking this up. So I might go with this first fantasy. For this, I don't know, I think it depends also on how I vibe for the next week. It is October 21. I only have a few days. I only have over a week left of October. I think I will be able to finish this by tomorrow, I hope. And this one also. And then I actually have a few more pre-orders coming in from Waterstones, and I think it's on the way to my house. It is in transit right now, and I'm also hoping to pick up at least one of those pre-orders before the end of October, because there is one in that package that I am really waiting for. I have really been waiting for since I first heard of it. So I will probably finish this first, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson, and then I will move on to The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue or one of the pre-orders I'm expecting. That's it. I will catch up with you guys if I have any thoughts on this.